Okay. So I'm sitting here having a moment because I'm certainly not issue free. I wouldn't be doing this if I'd resolved all my issues. I'm still on a quest here. And one of my issues goes back to early life when a lot of people burned a lot of calories, reminding me how ugly and detestable they found me. And so as a result, I have certain insecurities around self image and not as a person. I do have a good sense of my own value, I do have a good relationship with myself. I'm pretty functional, but when it comes to my appearance, I get weird. I look in the mirror one day and it just goes all funhouse on me, and I'm like, oh, I'm too ugly, I can't go out. And I almost get like agoraphobia. Like, I'm almost like, I can't go out in the world like this, right? Completely irrational. And yet there it is, still working with it. And the first step is just to know it and to be like, oh, hello, there's that issue. What are we doing today, issue? And the answer I came up with today was kind of amusing and sort of helpful because when it started kicking off and being like, you can't go out like this, look at you, everybody's going to see what a disaster you are, they're going to know how shabby you are, inside and out, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, hi. I don't have this voice act up on me much anymore, but that old inner dialogue sometimes likes to poke through and be like, yeah, because you're still ugly. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, you're right. What I decided to do is to lean into it and be like, yeah, it's pretty bad. People, it's going to be like parting the sea of humanity where I walk because I'm that repulsive. Mothers are going to be clutching small children to them in horror. It's going to be pandemonium because of my just unbridled awfulness. My hideous, terrifying appearance will just ruin everybody's day. And by the time I got done like agreeing with this voice in the most vigorous and absurd way I could, I had myself laughing. I was like, yeah, see, because you see, this is absurd. And it's a good way for me personally. I don't know if this is good psychology, but it's a good way for me personally to be able to sort of call out the absurdity of what that aspect is trying to say. And what I need to do next is, once I've used humor, because that's still one of my core values, is using humor to create flexibility, to create perspective, to really get the system moving again. It's an antidote to the rigidity that locks us into places we don't want or need to be. And so once I've kind of unlocked myself from that place, is to go and be like, what is the issue? To ask that hissing little voice, what is it you're trying to protect me from? What are you trying to provide? What good are you trying to do here? And you could say, oh, it doesn't mean any good. Look at the way it talks. It obviously hates you and wants your destruction. It seems this way, but when that aspect starts doing this, it's basically sounding an alarm that it senses there's danger. And I think the danger is that people will judge me, not just judge me harshly, I'm good with that. For the most part, I can take some harsh criticism and keep rolling. And especially if it's true, I'm like, oh shit, they're right, I need to work on that. But it's that I'll be in a situation where I won't feel safe because the people are turning on me. Because not only did people tell me I was repugnant, but they would punish me for it. And so I think that there's some remaining part of me, some little vestigial live wire in there somewhere that's still sparking around, being like, no, they're going to hurt you, they're going to punish you for this. Like, you being unacceptable this way means you're going to get hurt, you're going to be outcast, humiliated, physically hurt, whatever it is. This is going to happen, so you've got to be careful you don't put yourself in danger. You get underneath this absurd and sort of cruel inner dialogue that starts queuing up again. It's there to protect. It's there to provide a way around danger. And instead of fighting it, I found just now, like, just trying something different. I'm like, let me lean into it. Let me agree with it. And once we've acknowledged our interlocutor's argument and been able to make it for them, as you do in good debate. Your opponent's going to make a case, and then you say, okay, so what you're telling me is that these things are true, and either they can correct you or support that, yes, you do understand. And I think we kind of need to engage in that kind of debate with our inner dialogue when it starts doing this. And it was sort of a playful way of doing it, to bring humor and absurdity to it, and to be like, yeah, it's going to be absolutely awful. But in that, I also acknowledged what the message was, and then said, okay, so if that's so, what do we do with that? What underlies that? What's the problem we're trying to resolve or avoid in some way? And yeah, it's kind of surfacing for me that it wasn't just the rejection. It was the punishment, the being really like picked on, and even like physically assaulted in some cases. And it was really that survival part of me that didn't fully pull through. I think I still have a survival instinct, and I get scared to go out in the world if I don't think I look acceptable enough. And for anybody who deals with self-image stuff, my heart goes out to you. This shit's painful. It's debilitating. It's so limiting, and I want to be so much more, and so much more connected with so much more of the world. So I thought I would share this somewhat embarrassing and personal aspect of my own experience here, my continuing work. And as I go on peeling the onion, these are the things that come up. And so I just wanted to share the peculiar realization I had, and the odd strategy I applied, with enough success that I now realize that, yeah, it's absurd to think this way, but there is a real message under there. And if I listen to it, and I honor what my opponent's saying, and engage respectfully, can get to a place of real understanding, and realize that there might be valid points there that do warrant my attention, even if it's to say, oh, okay, you're afraid of that? That's cool, we're safe, it's not a problem. Somebody's gonna come at you, call a cop, you'll be all right. You'll hold your own. You're not vulnerable like you used to be. You're not meek like you used to be. You don't you now have skills you didn't possess then. And to be able to give myself that message and be like, look, you can feel a way about it, but lean into feeling that way and push through it, and show your subconscious that it is okay. Like, overwrite with new experience that you can now go forward and do this. So, okay, I need to go forward and do my day. So I'll wrap it there. But yeah, just another thought on, I have a random thing flying around, not just in my thoughts and emotions. There's a little fruit fly got loose here. And that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like I'm trying to navigate while I have a little fruit fly buzzing around. I'll make it. I'll be okay. And once I'm out there and I'm among people, it's going to be fine. I know it's going to be fine, because I have so many reference experiences that tell me, once you're out there, nobody notices the things you think are awful and shameful and horrific about you. And in fact, people are actually pretty receptive and warm, and even flattering at times. So, if few people don't care for you, that's their prerogative. They have every right to not like you. You're not going to ever win the game of making everybody find you pleasant or agreeable or whatever. There's no 100% on that test. It doesn't work like that. But most of the time, it's okay. It really is. And being able to find humor and get curious and argue respectfully with that inner dialogue, and try to truly understand what's under it, and work with that. It's a lot more direct in the way of not having to sit there and argue with yourself or berate yourself for this is a thing. I'm always like, we have to work on the way we speak to ourselves. Part of that is not berating ourselves when we fall short. Yeah, being like, oh, there, I'm doing it again. Okay, I know I can do better. Let's try again, right? And sometimes even being able to take advantage of that as an opportunity and say, look, I got an opportunity to understand something about myself and my patterns and my then the behaviors that stem from those patterns. And that gives me an option to exert some wisdom and control over what happens next. And it does help me to pull up out of that mental death spiral and course correct and get forward. And that's what I'm hoping we can all do as we reason a little more deeply through these things that kind of run on autopilot, things we take for granted, but when we pull them out into the light and we unpack them and we really sift through and try to attain understanding with real acceptance. This is what Carl Jung was really known for, was his incredible acceptance of things. And it's it's just words, it's just an idea until you can really align with that. When you're like, look, it's I have to take it all in. I can have nothing or I can have all. It kind of is that way when it comes to our psyche. And when you start breaking it into little pieces, that's the third option. You could have broken pieces, everything or nothing. And going for everything is the way to create cohesion and smooth sailing in life, and being able to see that not as a burden but as an asset. This is beneficial to be able to use those weird behaviors that we kind of want to tune out or push down or argue with, and say, no, no, come here a second. I want to talk to you. What's going on? Let's get under this and really understand. And in so doing, I find that I learned so much about myself that I don't know. I don't think about how awful it was in 8th grade most of the time, but it's still running back there, isn't it? Yeah, so the idea of bringing that out into the light, again, this is from Jung, that, we have these things in the shadows and we have to bring them out and examine them. The unexamined life is not worth living. And we need to be able to accept that that's part of us. And my view of this is to be appreciative of it as an asset that allows us to understand and integrate all these parts so that we do have everything instead of broken pieces or nothing. And so, yeah, these are my fumbling efforts to attain a more whole and integrated state in my own life, and I hope it helps you to do the same wherever the little slithering things in the shadows may arise and cause difficulty, to know that we can shine a light on it and light the path ahead. So, all right, I want to get on that path, and as always, I thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next round. Take care.